Hello and welcome to the Real-Esteem podcast. Today is May the 4th, 2018. I'm your host, Patrick Tabor, and today on the Parenting Edition, we're going to talk about challenges. If you'd like to listen to any of our previous podcasts or get more information about our book, please visit us at enith.com, EYNIITH.com. When it comes to raising kids, you have to learn a lot really quickly, especially when you have a newborn in your home and you're trying to grasp what you are to do next. What is the next move? Yes, you may have taken care of children before, little babies, but nothing compares to when you have them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, with life, becoming a parent, or even being a parent for a period of time, you recognize that there are going to be challenges that you have to face, challenges with raising your children, challenges with taking care of your children, challenges with understanding your children. If you have more than 2 kids, remember this, they will be different. They will have different mannerisms, different mindsets, different goals, and you have to adjust yourself to those, and it can be challenging. Mostly for me, it's been challenging to understand each individual child that I have and trying to adjust, just as I said, trying to adjust to each one accordingly without making one seem greater or less, trying to pay the same amount of attention to each one. It's difficult, when you don't know what to do and you're learning how to do these things on the fly. It's like on the job training. You're trying to see when you make a mistake, okay, well, I don't need to make that one again. Or, you make this situation better for this child and you thought you could do the same thing with that child, and it just doesn't work that way. You have to really keep your mindset on each child is an individual, and their own personalities and abilities and strengths and weaknesses may be different also. So you have to kind of figure out how to work with each one, and because you want them to develop into not only great citizens, but you want them to be helpful. You want them to be caring. You want them to have empathy. There's so many things that you want them to gain, and you only have a short time before they grow up. My oldest just turned 20 years old, and I'm just kind of shocked at how time flew by. And I remember holding her in my hands and as a little baby and feeding her and letting her take naps on me while I watched the football game. It's just, I can remember it like it was yesterday. So just understanding the challenges that you'll face as a parent. Know that there will be challenges, number one. Know that you can get through them, number two. If you can keep those 2 things in mind, I think you can handle almost any situation that comes your way with God helping you. Okay, so 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways." So if you're going to parent effectively, you kind of have to let go of a lot of things that may attribute to a childish mindset, old thoughts and processes that you thought you would just hold on to that aren't beneficial. Once you have kids, some things go out the window. Some things have to kind of change. You're not going to get as much sleep as you thought. But as you get older, or as your kids get older, you realize how you've adjusted over the years. If you've really tried to take care of your kids and you really spent time with them and focused on not only being a support or provider, but you're actually trying to be an encourager and a teacher to them. In that sense, you'll see that, those late nights, they were worth it. You'll see that the time that you had to, pick your child up after they scraped their knee, or to try to teach them how to ride a bike, or, when they're fussing back at you and you're trying to figure out, how should I go at this, because I really want to get them, but maybe I need to put them in a timeout. Maybe I don't know. You have to figure that stuff out as you go. But the thing is, you recognize after you've been through that over a number of years that, those times are precious also, because while the child is learning, you are also learning, and you're becoming a man or a woman, as opposed to living in those childish ways as Corinthians 13 says. 1 Corinthians 10 and 13 says, no temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. When we first had our first child, getting up 2 and 3 times at night was, it was kind of crazy for us. And we wanted to do it. We wanted to do what was right, but when a couple months pass and you're, elbowing each other about your turn to get up, it gets difficult, especially when you have to get up and go to work the next morning or whatever the case may be. It's a difficult time, but we endured it, and now we get to see the results of what we endured, and it's great. First child is graduating from college. My son is, in his going into his last year, getting ready to go into his last year of high school, and my youngest is, 7 years apart from my middle child. It's seeing them grow, seeing how me and my wife have changed, seeing how they've grown to become very caring individuals in some cases, in most cases, but also seeing how they deal with life in general. Some things they handle differently than we did, and in some ways we see ourselves. My wife and I also see ourselves. So, the challenges that come, they don't have to be a burden. They're just a temporary setback or a temporary issue that you need to solve, fix, or resolve. Last but not least, Psalms 119 and 66 says, teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I believe in your commandments. One thing that I always tell people is that you have to make sure that what you do is going to be beneficial to the people who are around you, especially your children. You want them to follow your lead, so make sure that you're leading correctly. Make sure that you're leading timely. Make sure you're leading with balance. Make sure you're leading with purpose. As long as you're doing those things correctly, they will naturally follow in some of those aspects in their life just by being around you so much that they pick up those habits. You've heard people say, that children will do what they see more than what you tell them. Well, if you're showing them as much good as possible in your behavior and mannerisms, then those challenges that come won't be so difficult, because during those challenges, they will be taking on some of those good traits that you've played out in front of them. Not just doing it so they would see it, but really having the right heart and attitude about you as a parent wanting to live correctly, wanting to not only show them how, but to be who you claim to be in front of them, not putting on an air or a show, not being hypocritical, being a man or woman of God that chases after God, wants God's heart, and treats people with love and kindness. You want your kids to follow in those examples. And you know what? You also want your kids to be able to stand up for who God has said they are. You want them to know their identity. So it would be good for you as the parent to face the challenges that come against you, knowing your identity, so they won't have as much of a difficulty learning that or gaining that knowledge that they need to know about who they are, what they're capable of, and why they're here. So I hope you got something out of this today. Be blessed. Grace and peace.